guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be doing a book review on the Primrose Railway Children by Jacqueline Wilson. So this is actually not the first, how do I say this? This is actually not like the first, so it isn't the first copy of the book since millions of these copies of this book was made. But it's not like, this isn't the original book because in around the 90s or around that time, a book called The Railway Children was published by, I actually don't know who it was because I've never actually read the original, but I read extracts from it in school when I was doing like reading tests and all that. So the original one was about 3 children who had to cope with going to a totally novice town which was in the countryside after their dad, who was actually pretty rich and like a lord something, because it was really old there, so lords and nobles still existed, and their dad was a lord who had to go to jail because of something he did. I think because this book is actually very much based on that one, except it's in modern day era, so it's not in like the 1950s or 1980s where we have no cell phones or stuff like that. And in both books, the 3 children have to cope with going to a totally new place after their dad gets arrested, but they don't know immediately that he got arrested. Their mom makes up some story about him being away for a business trip or being away for someone else, and they don't actually know until later on in the book in both instances. Now, the Primrose Railway Children is like it's like a modern day copy of the original Railway Children, and it's basically almost the same, except in the Railway Children they didn't have any phones or technology, which they missed when they went to the countryside. But in the Primrose Railway Children, it's like set in common era, so like right now, or the time that it was published, which was like 2 years ago, I think. So 2022, 2023, around that time, I believe. And the Primrose Railway Children, so what happens in the story is that we actually see the story from her perspective. She's the middle child, I think she's the middle child. No, she's not the middle child, but she acts like the middle child, kind of, because so that's her older sister and that's her older brother. But her older brother has autism, so he sometimes acts more like a child and he acts as an older sibling. So she sometimes has to act as the older sibling to her brother. And so it's mostly set in common era, and we see it from her perspective. Phoebe, that's her sister and that's her brother, and Phoebe is like the one that missed her dad the most when they went. So we see how, and Phoebe starts making up crazy stories about why her dad is gone, because she and her siblings don't actually know why their dad is gone, and his name is Perry, and we don't actually see much of her from the book that much because he's like a teenager and off and stuff. So anyways, they go to after these 3's dad gets arrested for stealing money off of his client. Their mom takes them to the countryside so that any reporters won't follow them and be like, oh, hey, could you tell me why your dad did it? Would you mind answering a few interviews like that? Nothing like that happened, so she took them to the countryside. And then they went to a place called Primrose Village, and in this village there was a railway station called Primrose Railway Station, something like that. It's like a really old railways, like it was like a copy. So in the really olden days, instead of electric trains, we had these coal-powered one where you would put the coal into fire goes boom, train goes whee. And this train station, instead of using electric trains, they wanted to like show people who missed the coal trains like a way of.
That work on steam.
Yeah, so steam trains. Yeah, so it works in steam. Yeah, I think that's the name because I've never actually been on one or seen one because that was like way before I was born. Steam trains are really old actually. They stopped being in use because of coal and pollution in the air, and because coal was getting harder to find and electricity was coming more into, so they stopped getting used in the 90s. So I wasn't born in the 90s, so I don't know where. I've never been on a coal train, but I've been on electric trains. I think they're faster. So yeah, I forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah, so railway trains, the steam ones, the man who was in charge of the railway station, he wanted people to reminisce about railway trains, and he went psh. And then these three, they like to go on these railway trains because he's really smart. Perry, Phoebe's older brother, is so smart. He knows lots about lots and lots, and he probably reads way more than me because I only read fiction books and sometimes non-fiction, but he reads every book. So he really likes railway trains, and their mom, as a way of helping these children to cope and so that she can work while they're at the railway station, because the only place that they can get Wi-Fi, because this is like way in the countryside. And if any of you guys are like kids, you probably don't know this, or like if you live in the city, out in the countryside, there's no Wi-Fi apparently. I've never been out in the countryside, so there's no Wi-Fi. So the only place they have Wi-Fi is the railway station. So their mom and the kids go there a lot to get Wi-Fi, so that the mom can get Wi-Fi to check her emails and to see if she got any messages from work, while the kids get to go on a railway train that goes really fast. So now I'm going to read the blurb, and then later I'm just going to open it to any page that I find, and I'm going to read a paragraph. So first, let's read the blurb. Oh, I love this. I wish all train journeys were like it. I'd love to go back to the olden times, I said. It was like living in the past. We weren't near any roads, so we couldn't see any modern cars. There weren't even any telegraph wires. We couldn't hear any planes up above. Just the steady rhythm of the wheels beneath us. Oh yeah, that's another thing about steam trains. They have like these giant wheels, because all trains have wheels, but the thing with the electric trains, you can't actually hear them because they go so fast that you can't actually hear them, I think. But with railway trains, they don't actually go as fast as electric trains, but they do go pretty fast thanks to coal. And yeah, so and that's what and this paragraph is the first time Phoebe and her siblings went on a railway train, I believe it is. And yeah, and there's also a little paragraph here telling us about the original railway children, saying, from multi-millionaire best-selling author Jacqueline Wilson, inspired by E. Nesbitt's timeless classic, The Primrose Railway Children is a heartwarming story of family secrets and new adventures. So yeah, E. Nesbitt was the one who created the original, wrote the original Railway Children story, and then this one was just inspired by his one. So basically it's practically the same almost, except they're in modern day. So now I'm going to find a page and I shall read from that page. Or I could read this part here. So most books are like this one, so it's like this. So it's hardcover, I think it is. It has like a little part here which talks more about the book than the blurb does, which is kind of confusing because this part talks more about the book than the actual blurb does. And for books like this, so hardcover ones are ones that have like a copy within the copy, so you can take off the cover, and there's another cover here. Ooh, this cover, oh yeah, so this is the Primrose Railway Station. See? And this is like the trains, the steam. They're called steam trains, but because of the coal burning, steam comes out of them. And this is where people to go on them, and then here's the name here, and then here are so that's Phoebe, that's Perry, that's Phoebe and Perry's older sister, and that's their mom, and this is like their first time going to Primrose Railway Station. So that's the hardcover bits, and that's the hardcover pictures books. It's actually really interesting because you can actually see the train station. So now I'm going to open a book and we're going to find a piece of the book, and I'm just going to read it. Let's see. Yeah, this seems good. So I'm just going to read this part here. You've stopped working, Mum, I asked. You mean just for the summer while we're here? Beck said. Well, that's good. You always work so hard. It's about time you had a proper long holiday. Did they make you redundant, Mum? Perry said. Perry, said Bex, don't be silly. Mum's the boss of the whole department. So that was just them talking about something that later on happened, because after the kids' dad went to jail, the mom's job decided to let her go because of what happened with her husband. And so Bex is the older sister. There's Perry and then I. So this is on the POV. So this is on the point of view of Phoebe, so the eye is her, and you see her thoughts and all of this. And so it talks, and the mom was actually the kind of boss of a publishing firm. It's kind of interesting because it's a book and it was published by a publishing firm. And that's the book, and then so that's Phoebe, Bex, and Perry, and then this is all of them at the beginning. So at the beginning of the book, the day before the dad has to go to jail, he gives them all presents. He gives Phoebe a little hamster called Daisy. He gives Perry a giant tank for for some kind of little lizard kind of thing. It's kind of confusing. I've never actually known about lizards until I read the book. So the book actually teaches you a lot about lots of things that Perry actually says. So it's good for random facts if you want to know random facts about newts, which is the animal in the tank, and railway stations. And then that's Beck. Their dad gives Beck some new clothes. And then if you look here, you see these three running, because at one point they were not allowed to go to the railway station anymore because their mom thought it became too dangerous after they tried to get out of the train and go into one of the tunnels. So they thought it was too dangerous, but then they tried to go, and then so the first time they tried to go back to the railway station, they failed, ended up lost, bad things mostly. But the second time, Bex didn't go, only these two went, and they actually found this giant tree in the middle of the railway tracks. And because it's not like electric trains, steam trains can't actually stop that quick. So they would have to warn the people about it, or else they'll go, like, basically, imagine my hand is locked, the steam train would go full speed on, and it would just crash, and everybody in the steam train would likely die or suffer permanent injuries and permanent disabilities from crash. So they used Phoebe's jumper as it was bright red, and red normally means danger, danger. So they used Phoebe's jumper, as in picture, as he took it off and put on a stick, to signal that there was danger ahead, and the train driver successfully stopped the train. So that was fun. So yeah, this is Jacqueline Wilson. This is Jacqueline Wilson's book, inspired by E. Nesbitt's Railway Children, the Primrose Railway Children by Jacqueline Wilson. Thanks, guys, and if you liked the video, then please press the like button down below. And if you want to see more of Jacqueline Wilson's books, then please subscribe. Bye.